Do you need inspiration, motivation, or hope? Do you let fear hold you back? Sometimes you feel lost or just stuck in your own thoughts, and you want a clear path to give you results. Then, my friend, you are in the right place. My name is Rachel Best, and I am your host of How to Make a Mark in the World, Finding Your Signature. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take notes.
I'm muted. Oh my goodness. It is Monday morning and I am so excited to be here today with a special guest. Today we have an amazing guest today, and she's going to share all about the things that she is doing in the world. And we met at a speaking engagement. About 6 or 9 months ago. And so we've connected a few times, we've chatted a few times. She is an amazing person and has lots of wisdom. I always learn something from you. So I'm so excited to have you a part of the How to Make a Mark in the World podcast. So go ahead, like I said earlier, grab your pen and paper because I'm sure she's going to give you lots and lots of nuggets. So go ahead and tell us who you are and how are you making a mark in the world?
So hello, and I just want to say thank you for having me on. My name is Aysleth Deladon. I go by Sachy Ice Queen on a lot of social media, and the main reason is because my name is kind of complicated to say. I'm Jewish, and so it's Hebrew, and so my nickname growing up was Sachy because my middle name is Sachar, which is also hard to even say too. So I just go by Sachy from a lot of people. And the reason why I chose the stage name Sachy Ice Queen is because I'm also a poet. And the ice is because I deal with a lot of immigration and a lot of immigrants in my community. I'm first generation born citizen here in the United States. And so I always love serving my people. I'm bilingual, and I'm a realtor, publisher, and a podcaster as well. I'm part of a nonprofit organization called Learning Idiom, where we break language barriers and culture barriers by perfecting people's English and Spanish. So it's a joy to get to be part of that and be the executive director and just kind of create content and shout out people. And that's how I'm a podcaster. I'm through the Learning Idiom. And then we took out an endeavor, me and my business partner, Claudia Fountain. We created the first bilingual publishing company here in the state of Arkansas. There's some nationally, but I've been in the publishing industry since high school. And so I have about 11, 12 years of publishing, expert, like my journalism is my degree that I got from Arkansas Tech University. So I've been in this world for a long time. And so people tell me I'm like a book coach, and I'm like, that's okay. I love books. I love reading, and I know what is going to catch people's attention and how to make your writing better. Because I was a teacher for about 3 years. I taught Spanish. So, but yeah, I, apart from everything else, the reason why my background is Coldwell Banker is because everyone knows in the real estate world that if you're a realtor, you always have to know you always have to say the firm that you're representing. And so I'm very fortunate to be part of the real estate world and just get to create my own abundance. And so that's a little bit about me. I have a son. He's autistic, and I love advocating for him and all the special need parents and community that I've established here in Arkansas.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You are a woman of many, many, many hats. And, share with us, how did you did one thing start and then just it rolled into another? Like, how did you go from where you were and now you have all these different hats and you're CEO of so many different things?
So I have two limited liability companies and one, the nonprofit Learning Idiom. The first one, and when my business, journey started, was in 2019, when I started my translation and interpretation business, Zeladon Help. It is still active. I just don't really because it has my last name and it's already, people already kind of know. There's very, very few Zeladons in Arkansas, and technically and nationally there's very, very few. So that's the reason why I named it Zeladon Help, because it was my way of mending that language barrier. So the way that I classify it is, if I'm teaching you either English or Spanish, I don't charge you because it's part of my nonprofit. But if I have to interpret for you, then that's a paid fee. And so that was my first limited liability company. And that kind of, I started working full time at a bank. And so I got the little bit of history of, just kind of being in the banking world. I'm a Jew, so I love organizing money. I'm sure if you're Jewish, you kind of know, like, from a very early age, they teach us about, money and some things. And so I loved working at the bank. It was one of my favorite jobs that I've ever had. So unfortunately, I had to step out of that, spot, because I was getting too many clients. And also God told me, he literally opened this door, the real estate world. And so one of the brokers here in Arkansas, Mark Burrier, from Century 21, he's like, I need you. I'm like, I need a Spanish speaking agent and I'll pay for your school. And, and so I'm very appreciative of him, because I was kind of at a crossroads where I was in the middle of a divorce and I wanted to spend more time with my son. And so I chose to, I knew my son needed me. And so I chose to stop working at the bank and start studying, and then just working full part-time at a local private preschool. So I was a teacher, and then I was also studying real estate while I was a consultant. So I had 2 jobs. And then I already had like my clients that I had already acquired for those 2 years of translation and interpretation. And so then that kind of motivated me to create the nonprofit, because I was doing so much for free. Like, I wouldn't charge because I didn't want to. Like, these people, they needed my help. And so I was like, I'm just going to create a nonprofit so that I can still serve my community, but also just create that ability to expand my organization. And so I also created the nonprofit because of my mother. She stepped down as a pastor and was just still wanting a way to minister to people, because she wanted to be a full-time grandma. So I created the nonprofit for her as well, which she is part of. And I'm very fortunate that our community that we have, created over the years, when she was a pastor and everything, they still support us, and they still, keep in contact with us, which they're part of our family. And so, yeah, then the publishing company came in, because we're like, we need to publish in Spanish, and we wanted to support Arkansas. There's some nationally, and we couldn't find one. And so me and Claudia Fountain, we just were like, let's just start it. And so it has been a interesting and amazing journey. This is our 2nd year. Authors Are Us has been established, and it's kind of to me, it's pretty amazing that God can use your gifts and your gifts, and not only your gifts, but what you enjoy to do. So, like, if you're out there and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, just pray about it. Like, God will reveal to you what your skills are, perfect your skills, perfect whatever you enjoy. And if you don't have a business mind, there are definitely courses that you can take, or you can reach out to like anybody. Literally, there's so many coaches out there. There's so many organizations, or just if you're already at a full-time job, like literally work, kind of learn the business world. Don't just do a job just to do it. I always tell people to live intentionally. And I just started doing that, 4 years ago. And ever since then, I've just been kind of just praying and asking God where he wants me to go, who he wants me to talk to, and just let him lead me. And so that's just where I'm at right now.
I love it. And that's why you are on this podcast today, because, how are you making a mark in the world, finding your signature? And the signature is, our handwritten. We're all different, right? We all have our own gifts, talents, passions, uniqueness, all the things. And so we all bring something different. We align with each other, but we all bring something different. And, I am a firm believer, if we look up and we pray to God and ask him, what's my next step? I read a book several years ago. It was say yes to God, one yes at a time. And that book, oh my gosh, it was probably about 15 years ago that I read that book. It was shortly after I got saved. And that is how I've lived my life. When God tells us to do something, I pray about it. I go through a system of like, okay, first of all, I need to make sure this is from God, right? So, going to God, going to the Father, asking him, what is it that you want me to do? And then, or, if it's given to you, like if he's like, hey, and that's happened so many times in my life. Hey, this is what I want you to do. Okay, well, I have to make sure this is God and not my monkey brain. And so going to him in prayer, and going to him first in prayer. And then after going to him first in prayer, opening up the word, and then pay attention to the conversations that we start to have. Because I think sometimes people like to go to man first and then go to God, but go to God first and then man, like, oh my gosh, like he will use individuals to confirm that you are on the right path. And if you are intentionally focused and intentionally looking, God will give you those little tidbits of like, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, this is what I want you to do. And so, yes, just, if God calls us to do something, go to him, make sure it's from him. And then, he orders our steps. And so I love that you brought that up, because I love God. I love Jesus. I'm just, sold out and on fire for him. So again, that's why you're on this podcast today, because I love just sharing how people are making their mark in the world. And so, when you are going through all of these different things in your life, what are some of the obstacles that you come up against, and how did you overcome them?
So that reminds me of a Bible verse. I became an ordained minister at the end of last year. And it reminds me of a Bible verse that says, many are the trials of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them from all. And so whenever something comes up, whether it be personal, whether it be a business transaction, whether it be me just not knowing exactly what's going on, my steps are always just to first pray about it, not overreact, not let my emotions get involved. Because then that leads me to stress, anxiety, like, I definitely access the fruits of the Spirit. And if you have the Holy Spirit, then you have access to those fruits of the Spirit, which is peace, which is joy, which is, all of the, in Romans, it has the list of, self-control, so I definitely take a moment to myself, and I just think and really am one with myself and with the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, okay, this is a challenge. Do I need to learn from this? Like, what do I need to do when it comes to business? If it's a question, I ask it. If I don't know something, I just ask. Like, so many people, they struggle and they don't learn and they don't grow because they don't ask. They don't ask the person that they need to. They don't ask for direction. They're too prideful, or they think they're going to do it their own way. And so that's one of the things that I've learned over the years, is that if you have a question, ask, and ask the right person. Don't go to someone that's a bad, not necessarily a bad leader, but someone that's not going to be able to tell you valid information or valid, if it's a real estate question, I ask my broker. That's what he's there for. If it's just a family issue, then first I ask God first, because we didn't get to choose our family, but God did give us our family for a reason. And so I go to God first, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do about this relationship? And I think when it comes to family, it's really, really, it's like a double-edged sword. In the Bible, it says that iron sharpens iron. God gave you your family for a reason. And so you also have to think, is my family member trying to trying to sharpen me, or are they just trying to cut me? And that is something that I have recently just been kind of shedding off some, distractions, because when it comes to certain family, or when it comes to even just your friends or any your circle, like, who do you need to let go this year? Who do you need to step away from?
Mhm.
And that is how I kind of go through that difficulty, whatever it may be. I've fired clients because I didn't want to serve them,
Mm.
because of their because I knew that in the long run it would not be beneficial. And like you said, we weren't in alignment. And when you were talking about that, definitely reminded me of my ex-husband, because God literally spoke to me, told me we're unequally yoked, and I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. Of course we were. And so I definitely, and I mentioned that in my latest book, Transcending La Familia, that there was a moment where I realized that my husband was not my iron anymore. He was just cutting me. And so that's the reason why I decided to get divorced, and I decided to consult with God. And there was so many confirmations that I went through to even make that decision, because I didn't want to get divorced. Like, if it was up to me, I would have never gotten divorced. I would have, just endured unnecessary emotional abuse. Literally, I probably would, because I did it for years. And so it wasn't, if God literally spoke to me, and so I felt like I was in disobedience if I didn't file. And I'm so glad that I did, because I feel so much more, you were talking about saying yes. Sometimes you have to say no to say your best yes.
Mhm.
And when that person or that, difficulty comes, whatever it may be, you have to think, do I have to say no? Do I have to say yes? Like, there's just so many options out there. There's so many things that can happen in your life, and you get to choose. It's your life if you're an adult. And so it definitely comes with, consequences, whatever choice. And I'm just grateful and thankful that over the years I've had the most amazing supportive community that has uplifted me when I need it. And that's the reason why I always tell people, find your community, and be involved, because we were not created to be alone. We were not created to be isolated. That is very dangerous for your mental health. And
Mhm.
so, whatever difficulty that it may be, whether it be your personal or business life, find your community, and just join one if you don't have one.
Mhm. I wanna back up real quick, because there might be somebody watching today that I'm also a divorced woman. Um, and I really want you to just like speak to, I don't know why that keeps doing a thumb up, but I really want you to speak to, maybe there's somebody watching today, or they might watch the recording, that they're in that spot of like, I don't know what to do. And can you share with them some hope, some wisdom, some, encouragement of, or maybe they're freshly divorced. Maybe they're even freshly divorced. Share with them some hope and some inspiration that this is only just a short time, and that you can find that peace and that joy. So could you speak on that for just a little bit?
So yeah, so if you're in the middle of a divorce, the number one thing that I advise you is to rediscover yourself, because when you don't get into another relationship in a hurry, it's just going to hurt you more. Um,
Mhm.
because you have to take that time to be by yourself, to rediscover who you are without this person. And that's something that I took some time to myself, and I was like, okay, well, I detached myself emotionally from this person. I prayed to God, and I asked to break any kind of spiritual ties that I had to him. And that was my last confirmation before I filed for divorce. Is I literally asked God, take away all of these feelings that I have for this man. And the next time that I see him, I don't want to feel these feelings that I feel. And he did it. And that was like, I was so shocked, because I was like, that was just another confirmation that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, because I asked him, I had that relationship with him.
Mhm.
And so if you're going through a divorce right now, I just want to tell you, the number one relationship that you can have and start, if you haven't started, is that relationship with God. Because you can always join a community, you can always, be around family, you can always be whoever you want to be around. But if you don't have that relationship with God, with your creator, it's going to be so much more difficult. It's going to be so much more stressful. It's going to be just, just very, like, there's some people that unfortunately commit suicide because, and I just recently, heard about it because they can't take it. And so definitely create that, relationship with God. Don't listen to the doubt in your mind, because I had those thoughts too. I still currently have them sometimes. That's why I have the positive affirmations to kind of numb that noise, numb that doubt, numb that disbelief that who I was and who I am not now. And so if there was some words that were spoken over you, you have the authority to speak over your own life, over your mind. And so there were so many words that I had to unlearn, and I had to learn for myself and repeat about myself because they were spoken to me. And or they weren't even spoken to me. Like when I was growing up, like I didn't have any positive affirmations from my family. They expected so much from us because I'm a preacher's kid. And so a lot of the times we didn't have a lot of positive affirmations in our family. We were just kind of always on the go. So those are the two pieces of advice: get a relationship with God, speak those positive affirmations over yourself, because it's going to definitely make a difference in your divorce journey.
I would 100% agree with that, because that's when I got saved. Is after my divorce. I was in a very bad spot and I was depressed, and I met Jesus, and God turned my life around, and just really pressing into him and having that relationship. And who does God say you are? Ephesians is a great book to look that up, or even Google, who does God say I am? I am loved, I'm chosen, I'm forgiven, I'm his daughter, I'm beautiful, I'm righteous in his eyes. So when we know who we are in Christ, all the other noise, if that's coming from, like you said, either said or not said, like, it doesn't matter. You can find your identity, and you can find your self-worth, and you can find your what's that word? Approval. Anybody else's approval, it does not matter. Nobody else on this earth approval matters. The only approval I need is what God says about me. And so when we really learned that was so pivotal in my life. And I even want to go back to you were talking about, because this is so good, about the sharpen or the cut, the iron sharpening iron. Like, that revelation right there, that is good. I wrote that down. If that is family or if that is friends, are they here to sharpen me, to help me learn, to help me grow? Or are they cutting me? Friends or family, are they cutting me? Are they are they serving where I'm going in life? Are they serving my mental space? And so, sometimes our family is, like you said, like, we can't pick our family, but they are there for us, right? And so, sometimes it's our own family that we sometimes have to distance ourselves from. We can still love them, but sometimes we just have to be aware and conscious, intentional of the time that we spend with those individuals. And if, some people, there's been so many times, Sachy, that in my life that I've had to remove people, friends out of my life because they didn't serve where God was calling me. Again, I can still love them, but they were in a place of wherever they were at. And that's okay. Like, that spot for them, that's okay. But I know, like, when God calls us to do something, we are made for so much more. And so when we can see that, and we start hanging out with people like me and you, and we really, that community, and that being with those people that really are like, okay, like, I'm not okay with just being okay. I want to have all of the treasures that God has for me. I want to experience all the things that he has for me. I don't want to get to heaven and be like, oh, well, you could have had that, and you could have had that, and you could have done this, and you could, no, like, I want to go to heaven. I heard somebody talk one time at a speech, and he said, I want to get to heaven, and I don't want to get to heaven and, God show me the person that I could have been, the person that I was supposed to be. I want to go to heaven and be that person that God created me to be. And so when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that really, like, hit me of like, yes, like I don't want to get to heaven and be like, well, you could have been this person. This is what I had for you. But, those fears and those doubts and those unhealthy relationships and, all the things. And so I also want to touch, that's why I have a community, Make Your Mark Collective, for that reason, because there's so many people out there that are just hungry for that community. And the people that I have in that community already are people that they're people like me and you. And there's also people that are like, you know what? I know there's more. I know there's more. And where do I find these people? Right. And so, it is so important to be in community. And so as we're, oh my gosh, we only got like a few minutes left. And so, as we're coming to a close, what is next for Sachy? What is next for all the hats that you wear? What's next for you?
So I used to be a life coach, spiritual life coach, and I already made my goals for this year. So I definitely want to tell anybody that if you don't have goals and you don't have a plan, what are you doing? Like, so for me this year, my plan and my goals is to be licensed in another state. That way I can have 2 licenses. My goal is to also just focus more on my real estate career this year. And I'm super, super excited because I recently moved to the capital area. Because here in the state of Arkansas, if you don't have an ID or if you don't have a social and you've been living here for 3 months, you can qualify for a house. And so, or, investment property or whatever. And so, being able to serve my immigrant community in the license that I have in the city that they can literally do it, has been a joy. And so just kind of, just keep doing what I've been doing and serving my community in however they need, and definitely allocating my time and emphasizing it where my goals are. And so I always help my son with his goals too. He's been published 3 times already. He loves writing scary stories. I got to take him to go see R.L. Stein, the creator of Goosebumps. He was so excited.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, hey, anything to inspire your kids to keep doing what they're doing. And, I was like, I don't think I've ever even read an R.L. Stein, sorry. But my son loves you. But I felt like such a fan because I knew how much of a fan he was. And so, I got his autograph and everything for him. And I was like, hey, you do what I act like one of those crazy moms that does whatever they can just for their kids to be happy, And so it was like such a fun time, but it was at the public library. It was a very well-known place for me. I love books. So, yeah. But yeah, just focus more on my real estate career and, get licensed in another state and just expand my real estate career because I love this world. And literally God spoke to me and was like, why did I open this door if you're not going to walk through it? So I'm in trouble if I don't focus on it. So I will. That's my goal for this year is to be licensed in another state. That way I'll have two states, and then just keep doing what I've been doing. And with the nonprofit Learning Idiom, our goal definitely is to have 2 in-person events because we're a virtual vocational academy, so we don't have very many in-person events, and so we're planning these 2 really good ones. And so just so stay tuned for all of my sponsors and everyone who's already supported us. You're part of our Familia. Transcending La Familia is our podcast, our Spanglish one, and so we always enjoy bringing in amazing people just like yourself, and in English and in Spanish. And so I'm excited for the parenting summit that we're about to do. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you have such a servant heart. I love your servant heart. And that's probably definitely why we connected too, because we both are we love Jesus, and we just have that servant heart to just make the world a better place to share. And you just have such a heart to just help people no matter what it is. If you can help, like, you're there, and you're so knowledgeable in so many different things. And so tell us, how can people, if they want to learn more about you or just follow you or get connected, how can they do that?
So I'm a realtor, so we always give out our phone number. Literally, it's on my business card. So if you text me your name, I can definitely, you know, I advise people about generic real estate because I'm only licensed in Arkansas. And I get kind of I get in trouble from my broker sometimes because I advise people that they're not my clients, but I'm like, if it's generic information, like, why not? And he's like, because they need to be your clients, and then you can protect them if they do something wrong. And I'm like, I guess that's true. So, you know, but I always like to just share information. I think probably because of my journalism degree, you know, it's very difficult for me to like I'm just sharing information, like literally. And he's like, no, but they have to be your clients. And so I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I know I could get in trouble probably. He knows more than I do. He's just protecting me. But yeah, if you want to text me your name, I live in the United States, so it's a 479-747-3017. I'm on most social medias, either as Sachy Ice Queen or, you know, my name. That's why I have my little badge. It's very hard to spell, or, you know, it's not spelled like it sounds. So that's the reason why there's only one of me in the whole world. I've already Googled myself. And so, because one of my teachers in high school asked me, she's like, have you ever Googled your name? And I was like, no, like, who would think to do that? And then I was in high school, so I was like, I didn't think to do that. And so I did. And I was like, yeah. So literally, if you just Google my name, you'll find all of my platforms, all of my how to contact me. I just disclosed my phone number. So yeah, a lot of people contact me. So yeah, just reach out to me on most social medias: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, on LinkedIn as well. Or just text me your name. I do ask for your ID because if you're not serious about doing business, especially in the real estate world, then we need your ID to definitely, know you're legit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can contact me in any of those ways, and I'm just blessed to be able to serve you and be here for whoever needs that inspiration to keep going, to keep growing in their business, and to keep doing what the Lord calls them to do in the area that they enjoy. And so if you don't love your life, change it. Period.
Amen. We all have that control, right? So if you don't love it, change it. Nothing's set in stone. So, well, Sachy, I thank you so much for just taking the time to pour into everybody that's watching. And I look forward to us connecting again here soon. And on that note, we will be signing off for this week. So we'll talk soon, guys.
Bye, everyone. God bless.
This is your host, Rachel Bess, and I hope you loved the show. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as well as share with a friend. If you would like, you can follow me on Instagram as well as Facebook under Rachel Best. You can also find me on my website at rachelbestspeaks.com.